Ayy, look, yeah, ayy. I'm in the lab like Dexter, brand new batch he tested. I'm with all the extras, don't try and bitch, I'm pressure. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers.
Now we move on to the conference's championship Sunday matchups, and we'll go ahead and stay on the topic of the Kansas City Chiefs as they have a matchup against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this game, what we expect, what we think will happen, and let's get a prediction.
Well, this is exactly what the people signed up for. Patrick Mahomes going up against Lamar Jackson. This is the type of matchup that everybody loves to see. And my pick is going to be Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. I've said all year long, this is the most complete team in football. This team, top to bottom, looks phenomenal. And to me, the key difference is going to be defensively. This team defensively is unbelievably elite. Kyle Hamilton, Roquan, Patrick Queen, Matabike, Clowney, this entire defensive line, like they're unbelievable. Patrick Mahomes is great, but I feel like in this type of game, you need linebackers that can cover ground, that can go cover space. And you have a guy in Kyle Hamilton who's as versatile as it gets. You need him to cover tight ends. You need him to drop down. You need him to play safety. He's unbelievable as a player. And I believe they are getting Marlon Humphrey back as well, which is a big, big, big need for this team. And then offensively, guys have stepped up. But guys like Isaiah Likely. Isaiah Likely has been absolutely hoping for this team. The ground game is unbelievable. And just seeing from that game against the Bills and Chiefs, Josh Allen was killing them with his feet. And I feel like Lamar Jackson is an even bigger threat running with the football. And then, of course, you have their wide receivers. I feel like there's more versatility in their wide receivers compared to Buffalo, where they don't even have a real wide receiver one at this point because Stephon Diggs has been terrible. It's really just Khalil Shakir. You add in the fact that you have Zay Flowers, you have OBJ, you have Bateman, you have Isaiah Likely. You have a bunch of guys that can step up in these positions in their ground game with Gus Edwards and Hill. It's just been huge. I feel like this team is just so well rounded that I'd end up picking the Baltimore Ravens. And Patrick Mahomes is great, but I feel like in this type of matchup, this type of team, the Baltimore Ravens is equipped to deal with the Kansas City offense.
Yeah, I'm rocking with my folks, my guy LJ. You know what I'm saying? I've been saying it since the start of the year. I feel like this, like Abdi said, on the defensive side of the ball, I feel like this is a different type of defense that Mahomes is going to face that he's seen all year long. I feel like, guys like Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, Matabike, Kyle Hamilton, they have a deep, deep roster on that defensive side of the ball. And, they got a great defensive coach. They're playing phenomenal. They're coming out blitzing. They're coming out, side to side. They're doing everything on the field. So for me, I feel like the difference is going to be the defense. I feel like this defense can to me, it's going to get a stop on Mahomes when they need to, compared to the Chiefs defense getting a stop on Lamar Jackson. I feel like, Baltimore offense, they know what to do. They're going to come in, run the ball, run their play action, run the ball, get Lamar going. And it's been working all year long. And I don't think the Chiefs defense is going to stop that. Chiefs defense is a great defense. They've been playing well all year long. They've been playing phenomenally great. And I just think, Lamar and these guys on the offensive side of the ball have been showing up. Like Abdi mentioned, guys like Isaiah Likely, guys like Nelson Aguilar, guys like, they're rookies. Zay Flowers been hooping, and sometimes you got OBJ. And then come to the run game, Gus Edwards been fantastic for them. So for me, the defense is, I feel like they're going to come on, play another great performance, play physical, play hard like they've been doing all year long. And I think it's going to be a good game for Lamar Jackson. But can never doubt Patrick Mahomes, though. You know what I'm saying? Can never doubt that guy.
And that's a thing that I'm having a hard time with. As much as I want the Baltimore Ravens to get to the Super Bowl, I don't want to see Patrick Mahomes get to the Super Bowl. It's just really hard to go against this guy. And I think offensively, I think both teams are going to be able to do what they want, but I'm not expecting this game to be a high-scoring affair. I think this game is going to be extremely defensive, and the better defense will win. The Chiefs' defense has been phenomenal all year, and the Baltimore Ravens have had the best defense all year. And so it's just going to be a matter of, what team can get a stop on the other. And, Lamar Jackson's having an MVP season. He's coming off his best postseason game of his career. And the thing that I'm questioning, about this Ravens team as a whole is just, the amount of pressure that's on them to win a game like this. The Kansas City Chiefs, they aren't new, to the AFC Championship game. This is something that this is a place where they've been at for 6 straight years now. And so they know how to prepare themselves. They know how much pressure, comes in, with a game like this. I know, obviously being on the road, that doesn't, it's not something they're accustomed to, but they're able to go into Buffalo and get themselves a win. So they know what a road environment looks like in the postseason. And, for the Baltimore Ravens, man, it's just a lot of pressure that's just going to be on their shoulders. And the thing is, I'm thinking about it from like a long-term perspective. Like I said, for the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, I think the same thing I'm about to say applies to Lamar Jackson and this Baltimore Ravens team. I feel like if you're not able to get the Kansas City Chiefs right now, I don't think the Baltimore Ravens will ever get them, or any team in the AFC will ever get them.
I don't
And
know.
so,
I feel like Baltimore got a young team. I feel like their window of space is still there.
But the thing is, I think the Chiefs will get tremendously better offensively. I think at the end of the day, they'll get themselves a better wide receiver core. And regardless of how old Travis Kelce is, that connection is still going to be as strong as ever. And so they're only going to go up from here. I know going into this upcoming offseason, they're looking at this wide receiver room and they're going to try to figure out ways to try to better this room. And they're not going to let Patrick Mahomes go into the regular season next year with Rashee Rice being in his second year in the NFL as his best weapon. They're going to try to target themselves and put themselves in a position to go ahead and get themselves a wide receiver one. So as young as the Baltimore Ravens are, the Kansas City Chiefs they're going to be sticking around here forever. And Lamar Jackson even said it himself in this interview that I was watching earlier today. And, he says, it's two great quarterbacks going at it. And he acknowledged that he doesn't like playing against a guy like Patrick Mahomes, but he said, if you want to be a champion, you got to beat a champion. And the Kansas City Chiefs are the reigning champs. And, if you want to be able to have an opportunity at winning a Super Bowl, you got to get through this team, no matter which way you cut the cake. There's no other way around it. You have to beat the Kansas City Chiefs on your way to a Super Bowl appearance, not even a Super Bowl win. And so, we've seen the Cincinnati Bengals beat them a couple years ago. We've seen them try to go up against them again, and they weren't able to do it a second time because it's just not easy, being a team with that much experience that's very well coached by Andy Reid. And so, this is, like I said, this the amount of pressure that's on, this Ravens team. I hope they come prepared and, ready to go. Hopefully, they do end up winning this game. But if I had to put my money on it, to pick one team to go to the Super Bowl, I'm sticking with the Kansas City Chiefs, although they weren't my preseason prediction pick, or they weren't my prediction pick going into the postseason. I think they probably win this game with a score. I want to say it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a low scoring affair. So I want to say it's probably going to be a score of like 21-17. Like I said, it's going to come down to what team can get a stop on the other. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense is good, just not as good as the Baltimore Ravens defense, but their experience being in the AFC Championship game, knowing what it takes to get to a Super Bowl, it's just something that's going to, carry over in a game like this, and it's going to overtake the game as a whole. For Lamar Jackson, when I look at it, all four remaining teams, in the postseason, what quarterback has the most to gain, from winning a Super Bowl? It's no doubt, a guy like Lamar Jackson. Going all the way back to the draft, 31 teams passed on this guy. It wasn't up until the Ravens traded back into the first round to go ahead and draft him, being the last pick in the first round, him being upset, saying that he's going to get a Super Bowl. The Ravens will get a Super Bowl out of him. 31 players getting drafted ahead of him, coming off a Heisman season. That's something that you don't necessarily see, in the NFL. If you're a Heisman winner, you're proven as a quarterback. And, there's always been a question mark about, Lamar Jackson's ability to play this position. At the beginning of his career, they said that he should be a running back or a wide receiver. He shouldn't be playing the quarterback position. He's proved everyone wrong. And now he's on his way to a second MVP in his first AFC Championship game. Then he come back from this last offseason where about a handful of teams, 15 teams good that needed a quarterback, said that they weren't interested in bringing a guy like Lamar Jackson onto their roster. And the Baltimore Ravens, were able to, him and the Ravens were able to get to a deal. They're able to, get the money right. And Lamar Jackson came back, and now look where they are now. And I'm sure all those teams that said, we'll pass on a guy like this, at the end of the day, they're all looking foolish at the end of the day. They're looking stupid, passing on a guy like Lamar Jackson. And so, there's just a lot of factors that can go into that can go in favor for Lamar Jackson, but they could also go in the opposite way. So, I got to go ahead and stick with what I'm confident in. If I had to put my money on it, I'm going Kansas City 21-17. But now we go ahead and move on to our next game. We have the Detroit Lions going up against the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. The Niners are back to where they were last year. Last year they came up short. The year before that they came up short. Is this finally the year they get over the hump?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like a lot of people are underrating the Lions in this matchup. I think when you look at it, their offensive line is phenomenal. The offensive line, Penei Sewell is just an absolute monster, a complete monster. I mean, their running game with Jameer Gibbs and Montgomery, like we mentioned before, Jameer Gibbs has been ridiculous, a superstar on the way. And then when you look at their passing offense, Amon Ra, Sam Laporta, they have options. And Jared Goff, we have been critical about him, but he's played as clean as you can in the playoffs so far. He's done exactly what they've needed him to do. He hasn't done too much. He's been playing great. And I have question marks about their secondary. What does it look like in a game where Brock Purdy, he had one of his worst games of the season in this past matchup against the Packers. Now you're getting back Debo. You have Ayuk, you have Kittle. They're gonna undoubtedly feed CMC, but the Lions' run defense is solid. It's good, and the question really is whose secondary holds up better between the two defenses. And I have more trust in the Niners holding up just because I like their linebackers, of course, Fred Warner and Drake Greenlaw, and their secondary with Charvarius Ward and Lenore, and they have some options in their secondary that I feel like are better than the Lions at this point. Even though I do love the Lions safeties, I love Brian Branch. I like overall their team, but if I had to pick one, I think I'm going to go with the Niners. I believe pressure is finally going to get home to Jared Goff, and I think that's the way that you have to be able to beat him. I feel like the Niners are equipped to handle a strictly pocket passer. The Lions' offensive line has held up, but if a guy is able to get home like Nick Bosa, like a Chase Young, if any of their guys are able to put pressure on Jared Goff, I feel like he's the type of quarterback to fold. And we have seen this year, Brock Purdy against pressure, he hasn't been the greatest, but at the same time, when the blitz has come against Brock Purdy, he has been able to make a plays, and they have a bunch of separators that are able to get open. So ultimately, I'm going to go with the 49ers in this matchup. I think they're going to do a better job of feeding CMC. Brock Purdy is going to play a better game than he did last week, and pressure is going to get home against Jared Goff.
Man, I feel like it's going to be a good game this week. I feel like people are going to be thinking the Niners are going to come in and blow this Detroit team out, and it's going to be an easy game for them and everything. I don't know. I'm going to say this. I do have the Niners winning this game. I do have them coming out, but it's going to be a dogfight. I feel like, Detroit's well equipped on the offensive side of the ball with St. Brown, Laporta, and, Jameer Gibbs and Montgomery. And Jared Goff, he played fantastic this year. I feel like, he has his ups and downs, but, they controlled it this year. But to me, I don't know, man. This Niners defense, I feel like it's a little iffy to me. I feel like they can get the ball run on them. I feel like, teams can set the tone running the ball on them. And once it gets physical, I feel like some of them guys, they shine away from that. Abdi, you mentioned this front seven getting to the ball or getting to the quarterback. I haven't really seen that these last couple of weeks. I haven't really seen much of Nick Bosa getting to the quarterback or Chase Young. Matter of fact, he's barely getting to the quarterback. And these guys, like the rush, it's not there. It's not there, and I feel like the secondary as well, they got one good guy and the rest of the guys back there, to me, they're not great at all. They have a guy, Ambry Thomas, Mr. Penalty, Mr. Hold. He's always holding. He's always getting beat off the ball. Their safeties with that Hufanga is not, they're not looking too good as well. And, you got Ward. You got, what's the guy in the middle? You got Fred Warner. And I feel like those two guys are really holding down the defense. But I wouldn't sleep on this Lion offense coming out and punching them in the mouth and making it a dogfight.
We'll say this, though, that they aren't built – this Niners team is not built to play from behind. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. And even in this Packers game, I feel like if we were to able to maintain that 6-point lead, if the kicker makes that, I feel like we could put a lot of pressure on the Niners to force them to score because they're just not. I mean, the Kyle Shanahan stat, like what's crazy is that, and I think we're the one for some reason. We're the one. And then there's another stat: 0-5 entering the fourth, or when they're up by when they're down by 5. Entering the fourth quarter, we're the one team that's giving them that win. Like they're just not built to play from behind. Like when they're chasing, because what is their strengths? They love running.
They love running the ball.
When they stop running the ball, what does it look like for the 49ers? I mean, they have great playmakers, but you're consistently putting pressure on your quarterback to make plays. And we've seen what Mahomes and the Josh Allens of the world and Lamar Jackson look like when they'll take it all day if you let them pass. Like they love that when you make them pass. But what does that look like for a Brock Purdy type of quarterback?
Yeah, and that defense for me, we talked about. I feel like this defense is kind of similar to that Bengals team where they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, where they started heating up at the right time. They started playing at perfect at the right time. They started showing up at the right time. I feel like this Detroit defense right now, with everybody healthy and everybody back for them, I feel like they're heating up and they're playing great right now. So to me, Niners, I got them winning. Their key pieces obviously start off the game, run the ball, play physical, and set the tone. But shit, Debo's missing, and they that defense gets punched in the mouth. It's gonna be a tough game. But I got Niners winning, but I'm still rooting for Detroit though.
Deep down, you're rooting for Detroit. I mean, I can't see you rooting for the Niners, so that makes sense. For the Niners, in order for them to win this game, two things kind of have to happen. Number one being the weather conditions need to be better. And I'm looking at the weather app right now. It's looking like it's going to be 71 degrees in the Bay Area, so it'll be maybe a little bit of sun out, but it'll still be decent for for the San Francisco 49ers. It's not going to be nothing crazy like heavy rain or anything of that sort. So that's number one. So the weather's in their favor. And then two, just being the health of Debo Samuel. I think if Debo Samuel is out there in any sort of capacity, I think the Niners will be all right. But if he's not out there, they're going to be in trouble, and they're going to have to resort to giving CMC about 30 touches in order for them to win. And Brandon Ayuk's going to have to step into that wide receiver one role, which he has for this team. He's pretty much been their wide receiver one, but he's going to have to show up. Brandon Ayuk last week, we didn't really hear his name much, but in a game like this, we have to hear his name a lot. And what the difference is going to be in this game is what defense is going to hold up a little more. And I think as great the Niners are on that side of the ball, they really just haven't been great, as you guys have highlighted as of late. Their front seven haven't been able to generate a lot of pressure on the quarterback. But this looks like a game for Nick Bosa and Chase Young to make some noise. And the thing that's going to help them in this game is just the history they have with Jared Goff. They don't necessarily have a history with the Detroit Lions, but the quarterback under center is a guy they're very, very familiar with. It doesn't matter where he's playing. They have some history with Jared Goff, and so they know they can rattle him a little bit. Maybe make it a little tough on him, and then we're probably going to see Jared Goff stumble a little bit and crumble in a game like this. And so that's going to go in their favor, and that's kind of what I predict will happen. I think they'll put a lot of pressure on Jared Goff, and Jared Goff's going to be under a lot of pressure all game. And if their front seven is able to do what they're supposed to do, then by getting to the quarterback and stopping the run, not allowing Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to get going, I think this team will be all right. And for this Niners offense, like I said, if Debo Samuel is out there, it's just another smooth sailing. If he's not out there, then it's going to be a little bit tricky. But they're still able. I still have full trust in them. Again, the job done in this position. I'm looking at it at what the Buccaneers did the week before, and I'm looking at what the Los Angeles Rams did the 2 weeks before. You're able to pass on this team. You're able to put points on this Detroit Lions defense. Although they've gone hot at the right time, this team you could still put up points on this defense. And if Debo Samuel's out there, it's great. But if he's not out there, shouldn't be any crazy struggle. Should be a minor setback. But at the end of the day, you still have enough playmakers to get the job done, and that's exactly what they need to do. Because if the Niners don't end up, getting a win in this position, they will never, ever, ever get back to a Super Bowl. This will be it for them, and that's a lot. There's just a lot of pressure that's going into it, and I think the Niners are understanding it. They understand that, and they've embraced the pressure because at the end of the day, they've been here for 3 straight years now, and they've been here for quite some time, so they have some experience in this position. But you got to give credit to the Lions for getting here, but you got to be able to take care of business, because all of last year it was a matter of if we had our quarterback, we're getting to the Super Bowl, and they were able to prove that. They beat the team that got to the Super Bowl, that beat them without their quarterback. But now this is a completely different ball game, and they have to go out there and take care of business, and I think they'll do so. If I had to put a score on it, probably somewhere, I think they probably put up a lot of points in this one. I'd probably say 27-20. Just one team getting a very important stop in the end, and maybe a garbage time touchdown for the Lions or something of that sort. But the Niners get to where they want to go, or they get to the Super Bowl, and after that we go from there, man. So I'm hoping that we get some interesting football for this upcoming weekend. Championship Sunday, we got the 4 best teams remaining, and only 2 will be standing left in a couple of weeks' time. That's when it's time to play for that Lombardi Trophy.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and now Lakes, now that's overkill.